With the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation coming up in only a few short months, it is imperative that your organization is effectively complying to the personal data regulations that you will more than likely be held accountable for under this new and serious mandate.
Yep, and GDPR compliance actually starts with 5 key areas, that is discovering, classifying, labeling, managing, and protecting companies' personal data. And Microsoft 365 provides actually an excellent feature list under your Office 365 solution for companies who want to be compliant to GDPR. And in today's series, we'll be talking about advanced data governance, that being one of them.
So welcome to the Microsoft 365 and GDPR Compliance Information Series. We want to help you avoid the threat of heavy fines and litigation for your company. So in this segment, Bali will be showing us what advanced data governance is in Office 365 and how it works and how it will help your organization comply to the GDPR standards. So Bali, can you start by explaining to us what advanced data governance is?
Sure. Actually, the idea around advanced data governance is to keep your company's sensitive data around when or till how much time you need it, while also cleaning and disposing it if you no longer are in use of that data, right? So that is the main premise around it. So advanced data governance in Office 365 actually enables companies like you to manage your full content lifecycle from, right from the get-go, from importing and storing the data. That is the initial stages or the beginning stages, you can call it. And then also creating policies around the data as you keep on going through it, and then permanently deleting or erasing data as and when needed, when the data time has expired or you no longer are using that particular data, right? Okay. Another thing to know here is that your companies need to have a more secure and compliant strategy behind how you use the classification and policies that are going to help you achieve this all in all. And again, advanced data governance is a great solution which uses well-known categories of structured data with your machine assistance and machine learning. It actually classifies all of your unstructured data and then recommends you and proposes you with different policies based on classification, which is a very intelligent feature which Microsoft has built in there. Also, another thing to mention here is that it includes creating policies as well as taking one-time action to keep the data compliant and secure, which is of course a very effective mechanism for your data lifecycle. And all in all, these actions help you import, preserve, and protect your high value, or you may say your personal data, your personal company data, and keep that in place, and also have your confidentiality and relevance, when it comes down to if you're trying to purge that data, or if you are trying, company might be, see that it could become a risk data moving on, and there could be some litigations for failure of compliance. So you kind of maintain all of that by setting up the right policies and by advanced data governance.
Okay, wow, that sounds like a very effective feature for GDPR compliance.
No, definitely it is, and those of you who are listening, advanced data governance actually uses, as I said, mentioned before, also machine learning and intelligence, which is actually built inside and as a core engine for it, and it actually sets policies, and you can actually take actions to manage the full life cycle of your data, and which is the most important part for an organization. And for people who are managing security engineers or security staff, which are administrating all this, you can actually access your organizational wide insights, and then you can have recommendations based on any kind of anomalies which you detect, and these all are part of your governance dashboard, which is also very easy to get to, right? Mm-hmm. Also, there is the retention policy part, which always excites me. That actually helps you to comply with your regulatory, any kind of regulatory compliance issues or regulatory compliance industry. If you're part of that, it kind of helps you with that regulatory compliance issues, and actually ensures that when you're retaining any content or data, and you're only retaining it for the time span or the period for which your company really wants to make use of that data, right? I can't stress more on it because data retention is a very serious, I would say, part when it comes down to GDPR, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, and also a single retention policy. If you kind of create a single retention policy in the dashboard, it will actually be effective and can be applied to the full organization. So one policy can take care of the full length and breadth, right? And in addition to that, you can use labels, which are also very effective to implement. And I would highly recommend them, especially when you are trying to classify data across your organization for governance. And a good example would be, if you're trying to segregate, credit card numbers with, any other sensitive information which you're storing, or even if you are, say, in the healthcare industry, you have some important patient records and so forth, right? And also by creating these labels, you can do that upper level classification, right? And this will also help you create an organization-wide policy, and you combine a retention action as well as preservation action based on the information that you have about that data and what your intent is and where it is kept, right? So in all, advanced data governance, you can set specific locations and groups in your policies also, which will again benefit you further on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So do you think you could walk us through how to create a policy?
Sure, let's do that.
All right, so let me quickly show you how to create a policy. You're going to be logged in as an admin, and you need to go to your Security and Compliance Center. This option will show up when you're an admin. Here are all the widgets which you can work with. We are trying to go to Data Governance, and under Retention, that's where you have to create a policy. I'm going to actually create a policy which is going to be about preserving a set of data for a period of time, and this will be without preservation lock and without a deletion action associated with it. All right, so I'll hit create here. I'll give it a friendly name. I'll just call it company data policy, right? You can call it anything you want. So here, basically, I then choose to preserve the content associated with this policy. In this case, the content in my organization for 10 years. And then what I want to do is after that, and this is like, for 10 years and I don't want to delete any content. So I'm going to leave it to no. And then in this case, I want to select all locations. And next, I don't want to turn preservation lock, and I want to keep it that way, and that's what it is. And then I basically create the policy, and the policy is done. So basically in few steps, now I've created a preservation policy for my entire service across all my data types. I can then select not to turn on preservation lock, and that's what I did here, because preservation lock allows me to have immutable policies which cannot be changed, and it's pretty easy and fast to create. And once I've created the policy, I can actually easily go in and edit it, and also all the settings that I've added are applied here and they're visible, and of course editing is also super easy to do. Well, that is how you create a policy. Thank you.
So now that we know what it is and how it works, can you now explain how this feature helps with GDPR compliance?
Surely, this is the main part of it. So this feature by itself is very important for companies like you because, and for every company I would say out there, because as the amount of electronic data grows exponentially, many organizations are actually exposing themselves to all these risks by retaining unnecessary data. By unnecessary, I mean data which is no longer needed or no longer processed. And a good example here is that many organizations unknowingly continue to retain the personal information of, say, former employees. They must have left the company like a year ago or whatever that time span is going to be, right?
Yes.
That practice is still going on, and people think that retaining data will give them some value, especially personal data, right? So if this for compliance needs, I see some kind of other data which is needed, but not personal data, right? So if this kind of data were say compromised in a breach, then that company will be liable for any kind of litigation, any kind of cost association, and also for monitoring that person's credit monitoring for that person for say as long as that is needed by law. So effectively kind of governing your organization information actually again is vital for your company, and it allows for more effective knowledge sharing and business agility. And in all, actually it protects against increasing threats and leakages. And in today's day and age, we see a lot of cyber criminals trying to hone on that and then trying to misuse that data to their benefit. So what is on top of mind of companies, which I say is, worldwide, is that, proactively meet evolving compliance and legal requirements, and GDPR is in the middle of that. You have to kind of, take this seriously. Understand the data, understand the retention policies, and filter out the data which is not needed, and of course, treat it the way GDPR wants you to treat, especially personal sensitive information.
Alrighty, so that is how advanced data governance helps you comply to GDPR by effectively managing your data. Thank you again for guiding us through that, Bali.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed this segment of Microsoft 365 for GDPR Compliance Information Series. We'll have more content like this in the future to assist you in your company's journey to become GDPR compliant. We'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment or find us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach us at hello@cybertraining365.com. My name is Kyra, and again, we've learned a lot today from our instructor, Bali. Thanks for joining. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.